Well, I'm in the middle of uploading the first video in over a year, and, well, no, not over a year, just under a year, actually. And I'm already recording another one. I'm kind of deciding at random what to talk about, so bear with me, but, YouTube. How about that? Um, I really have a lot of problems with YouTube, and I think it's partly because of YouTube, and I think it's partly because of me. The problems that I have are related to content, inappropriate content. And I know a lot of people will say that pornography and things like that are inescapable and harmless and maybe even healthy. But I don't see it that way. My personal view as a married man, as a Christian, is that pornography is destructive. And not just destructive of a sense of dignity, personal dignity, but I think also destructive of emotional ties between a husband and his wife, if you're a married guy or a married woman, but also between a man and his God. In this case, that's me and the one who created me, the one who created everything. I'm not sure how much to resent YouTube for the material that shows up on their website. Their website shows up on YouTube. If folks weren't searching that type of material, and if folks weren't uploading that kind of material, then there wouldn't be an issue, obviously. But on the other hand, too, there's the issue of censorship. I have to wonder to myself if it wouldn't be better to have a YouTube that was censored. I know it is censored to a degree, but I don't think that it's enough to draw the line, like a kid playing with matches. You shouldn't tell a kid playing with matches that he's only allowed to set a couple of rooms of the house on fire, but if he tries to set the whole house on fire, then he's in trouble. I think that it's only a matter of time before the whole house goes down, because it went up in flames. That's why it's best to keep the fire in the fireplace. In other words, all these issues of attraction and the human body and human dignity and modesty. Forgive me, all you relativistic people out there, but I think modesty is a real thing. I think it exists, and I don't think it's dependent on which culture you live in. That said, if I were to be dropped into some South American tribe or some African tribe or some island nation tribe, and I'm in the midst of people who think that getting dressed in the morning means putting on their loincloth and nothing more, I don't think that modesty would be a different thing in that culture than what it is in this culture. Our ideas may be different, but I think that the real truth of modesty would be the same. And I think that just like those people are being immodest, I think that even even though they might see themselves as modest in a relative sense to each other. I think that we should all relate ourselves to a standard of modesty. Well, that's the tricky thing, I guess. Because I think to myself, again, I'm a Christian. We read about Adam and Eve being naked in the garden at first, before they sinned. And it says that they weren't ashamed. And obviously, there is no reference to God scolding them about their nakedness. He created them naked, and He didn't fashion clothes for them until after they had fallen, and after they'd tried to fashion their own clothes. But, the interesting thing is, we're not given a clear delineation of what their clothes looked like. Much of their bodies did their clothes cover. Don't know. It'd be interesting to uncover the original set of clothing, but regardless of that, I think one safe standard of modesty would be just saying, however much clothing I have to wear, personally, because I can't dress everybody else. I can't dress all the women that I might see in a day, whether they be on the internet or whether they be on TV, whether they be at work, whether they be at the grocery store. I can't dress them. They have to dress themselves. I have to dress myself. So when I'm thinking about modesty, in terms of what I put on as far as clothing, I think that a safe rule would be putting on clothes that are not going to suggest, for one thing, that I'm sexually open to anybody that's not my wife. I'm married. And again, as a Christian, that means that I'm spoken for. It means I belong to my wife and nobody else. Of course, that doesn't mean that I'm not attracted to anybody else. It doesn't mean that I can't make mistakes. But there is an ideal there. And I can and must meet it. But I think more than just sexually related definitions of modesty, I think there's really a sense where modesty is about human dignity apart from sexuality per se. Before my wife and I got married, I lived with my dad. My parents are divorced. And if him and I were home on a weekend and just decided to run around naked all the time just because we're both guys and we're not going to be attracted to each other, I think that would be an infringement and a abandonment of our dignity, personal dignity. I think that while dignity isn't the only thing that's important when you're deciding what to put on, I think it really should be a much higher priority than what it is in our culture, in American culture, which is it's my culture. So yeah, it's just an encouragement for my sake, for everybody's sake on YouTube. Ladies, gentlemen, please keep your clothes on, and don't just keep your clothes on. Try and wrap your hearts and minds around purity for your sake, because it's too high for us to do on our own, but with God's help, it's what life is about. Thanks for watching.